Ranger head coach. What didn't happen? Is it as simple as your scorers, Richards, Gaborik, didn't do enough and didn't put the puck in the net? Is it as simple as that for you in that series?
No. Well, your best players need to be your best players, but for for Gabby and Brad and Ryan Callahan, even Derek Stepan, for them to do their thing, we need to have the puck, and we just didn't have the puck enough. And that gives credit to Jersey as far as the way they forechecked us and they grinded. And again, the territorial play certainly tilted that way, and it didn't allow our offensive guys to get going. And I think that's when we started losing a little bit of our swagger in our game. But I thought we regrouped in the last couple of games and still had a chance to get there, but we didn't.
Hey, you made a very good comeback. You're down 3-0, you tied the game. You get down 2-0, you tied the game. It wasn't like your team didn't fight back in those games. They did fight back in those games.
No, they're a resilient group, and I guess that's why I want to protect them, because if you and I talked at the beginning of the year
right.
and said, you know what, you're going to be playing Game 6 in the conference finals, no one would have talked about that. Half these guys that are talking about our team predict us to be 7th, 8th, or 9th. So, but I really appreciate our club. We have to be better if we want to get where we want to be, and I think that's, as an organization, that's a mindset we have to have.
What has to be better for your team next year? What is when you look at it as you build and try to build off this success of this season, what in your mind has to be better right off the bat for you next season?
I think we have to secure more on our blue line. I think we have some really good players there in our top 4 that I think are going to be there. I think we need to add depth there. We do need to add some depth up front. A lot of people talk about our scoring, and we were still 11th in the National Hockey League in scoring, and out of 30 teams. But I still believe that we still need to add something there. And really, Mike, I don't think he can sit still. I think you need to try to get better in all areas, and because all the other teams are trying to do it. I think we have a world-class goalie that gives us an opportunity every night. So the other parts of our game, including Hank, I thought he made a tremendous step this year in playoffs and winning a couple of rounds and getting into the third. But we're still going to have to ask for more out of him if we want to get where we want to be.
Talking with John Tortorella. Coach, I noticed a couple of things going to the games, and I'm a guy who only went to the playoff games, so I didn't see you play in the regular season. But I sat behind you and fascinated by coaches, and I sat behind you a lot during the playoffs. You don't say a lot to your team during the game. Are you a guy who believes that when the game starts, you've done your work and you want them to work themselves out of their problems? I saw the game in Jersey when you did say a lot and it worked out and you made that comeback. Are you a guy that normally feels you want your team to work themselves out of their issues during the game?
Certain situations, I think you need to let them. Certain situations, I think you need to help them. Certain situations, I think you need to kick them. And when you get into these series, we have so many meetings prior, and then you play a couple of games. It's really redundant because there's really no secrets as far as how the teams are playing. So really that time and this stage of the game in the playoffs, you can only say so much to them. A lot happens in between periods to make a couple of corrections here and there.
Right.
But during the game, it's going so quickly, and there's so much intensity and pressure going on, they really don't hear you anyway. So sometimes you need to leave them alone. Other times you may not. It all depends on what's going on and how you feel as a coach, what's going on with your club.
What's your philosophy, and we're talking with John Tortorella, the Ranger head coach, as far as during the playoffs? Do you go in with a formula, I'm going to play these many guys, these many minutes, or do you give your best guys the minutes that you feel are the most critical minutes? Is it more democratic in that you have a plan and you stay to it, or do you adjust on the fly to it during the game?
We certainly adjust on the fly during the game. It depends. My job in that situation is to try to put the people on the ice that I think is going to give us the best chance to win that game, and that changes from game to game. Gabby had a struggle, had a number of struggles leading up to I think it was Game 5, and where he just wasn't playing well. A lot of people thought I was just benching him for one reason. It really wasn't that.
They thought you pulled him because he didn't block a shot, is what a lot of people thought.
Yeah, and I guess, you know what? I make my own bet. I don't give people too much information as far as
you give them none. You give them none.
Yeah, well, but there is sometimes I do, and it gets turned around a little bit.
Okay.
And in my thought there, this whole thing started when I was in Washington in this playoff series, when people thought I was giving nothing. Where there was 2 reporters there, Mike. They asked me 2 questions. We sat there and looked at one another. I said, "Okay, that's it," and I got up and left.
Was there a method to you? Were you trying to take I've seen coaches manipulate a lot of press conferences in my life, and some of them are diabolical. Some have told me they're diabolical. Some of them do it to put the pressure on themselves. Did you have a method to your madness in how you approach those press conferences? Because it became a real thing where you're not living in a vacuum. You were getting a lot of attention because of your press conferences. Did you want that attention?
No, I didn't. Actually, I thought I did some pretty stupid stuff in Washington. I forget what year it was with the water bottle, and I got booted out of a game. I was really trying to just to lay low. And Mike, my philosophy is I think when you play a series and you're playing against that team for 2 weeks, I just don't like giving a whole bunch of information out. And
which I think is fair.
I think it's fair, and listen, I make a lot of mistakes along the way too. I do get aggravated when I have someone ask me a question, a player that's been suspended for 3 games. How do you think he feels about coming back into the lineup? Well, how the hell do you think he feels? He's excited to play. Do I need to answer those type of questions? And this is what snowballs on me. And listen, I know I make a ton of mistakes with my attitude, but. Do
you like the press conferences or you don't like them? Are they an annoyance or are they? I mean, is it a show you're putting on there, or and you're having a little fun, or you don't like them?
No, I don't like them. And listen, the guys are good people. I want to make sure that I have a lot of good friends that are there, but I am not good at conferences after games because I'm still emotionally charged within the game. I don't really like giving too much information, but I've done some stupid things too.
But it's funny, after
my own bed.
After the overtime game, the long overtime game, you were either worn out or very expansive because you were very. It's funny. Some nights you were very long in the press conferences, and sometimes you were very terse. And it didn't have anything to do with winning and losing. It had to do more with how the game was played.
Yeah. It depends how I feel about what. There's so many things, and there are so many things that go on within the game and the locker room. I bring it there, and I bring my whole being there, and I'm not too interested in giving too much information, especially when you're playing against the same team. I'd rather just keep it in the room and have that type of mentality.
What's a John Tortorella? What's the most important characteristic in your mind of a John Tortorella coach team?
Well, I think it's a team, and I'll look at this team here. We have spent 3 years together, keeping this core together. This is a team that I have said from day one that I really like. I think the camaraderie is good. I think that's so important, Mike, in that locker room before you step on the ice, how it's conducted. I think the coach needs to be out of the room and the room take over itself. What you saw with our club this year is something I really like because I thought we showed up every night. And there were tough nights when we had some tough starts or tough things going on, but we never gave in. And that's a very important thing for me is for athletes. Don't give in no matter what's going on. You never know what's going to happen.
You want your team to be resilient.
Yeah, I do, and I want it to be consistently resilient, and I think we've shown that this year.
Well, heck, look at the way you came back. You came back with 7 seconds left to tie up a game, and you came from behind a lot in these playoff games. This team showed a lot of resilience. It just struggled to score, and it seemed to me, now I don't know, you tell me, what could you have done to get these guys? They were like gnats. How do you get these guys off you the way they forecheck? What could you have done that maybe you didn't do that would have been able to free up your guys better the way they were constantly giving you so much trouble in your own end?
Yeah, it was just I thought we lost a little bit of our quickness as far as just and I'm not saying we lost it. They didn't give you much time, and the biggest thing we were trying to do is make quicker plays. Make shorter passes, and I thought we got better as a series, especially the last two games, just supporting one another. We lost a little bit of our support, both offensively and defensively. And when I say support, just being close,
right?
So you don't get outnumbered. And I thought we did a much better job of that the last couple of games. And we started finding our way, and then that gave us the puck more, and our identity is very similar to the way Jersey plays. Is we want a forecheck, and that's when I thought we really started coming on. Our offensive players started playing a little bit better, but these games here, and I've said it all the time, a big play at a big time. Defensively, offensively is what's going to turn a game. We didn't get enough of those plays. They did.
We're talking with John Tortorella. Is this team close? Is this team a player away, a key move away, or is this team more than that away?
No, I think I don't want to put it as far as players, or we are going down the right road. I really, truly believe that this team accelerated the process this year in getting an opportunity to play 20 playoff games and play for 40-plus days. I think it's going to do us a tremendous amount of good, especially for just so many young kids on our team, to help them if we get this opportunity again. Do you have to keep on adding and weeding things out? Absolutely. You can't stand still or you'll spin your wheels, and because all the other clubs are trying to do it. So Glenn Sather, I think we'll have organizational meetings here in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure that's going to be talked about how we can be better.
Give me a thought on the finals from your perspective. What should people watch for? What's going to turn this series?
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, I don't know a damn thing about L.A. I've been so focused on the Eastern Conference.
Okay, then tell me what has to happen for the Devils, and who's the key for the Kings? Like, what bothered you? What were you worried about? What kept you up about the Devils? Just their forecheck? Was that the key?
Yeah, I just felt that I think they're playing their best hockey at the right time of the year, and I think a lot of their players are playing really good hockey, and they're such a balanced team. That's really proven to help them. They have had tremendous starts all throughout the playoffs. As far as blitzing teams, they did it to us. You know it's coming, but again, you have to give them credit. They're able to execute that. So the key thing at this time of year, Mike, it's not the best teams. I mean, there are probably 4 or 5 teams that were better than the New Jersey Devils, the New York Rangers, and the Los Angeles Kings.
It's a team that's playing best.
Playing the best.
Yep.
And Jersey's
every sport's
right
the same.
Now.
Every sport's the same that way.
Yep.
And listen, there's not a. I mean, looking from the first round on, John, there's not that much difference between these teams. I mean, first round, second round, Devil round. I mean, these teams, maybe in the West they dominated, but here in these rounds, these teams were all very, very close.
Absolutely. And I believe I've read a couple of things about, Jersey may be the underdog. I tell you, that's a very dangerous team. They're loaded with confidence, and they've got a number of people going right now, and that's the most important time this time of year.
Listen, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Don't be a stranger, and I'll talk to you. Congratulations on a terrific season, and I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good day.
My pleasure. John Tortorella, the head coach of the Rangers, back after this.